Danny Horn, head football coach at Central Clay County.
Coach, tell us a little bit how you got into your coaching career.
Well, I'm one of those that from an early age I knew what I was wanting to do. I can remember, all I did growing up was play ball. Honestly, that's about all I did. I played football, basketball, baseball, and it was just I had like 3 uncles that were coaches, and it just kind of was instilled in me from an early age. And when I went to school, I knew that that's what I wanted to be, and it turned out good for me.
All right, Coach, when you were at the old Clay County High School, you had an amazing 225 wins to only 40 losses. During that time span, you won 6 state titles. Looking back at that unbelievable run, what can you tell us was the main ingredients to your success back then?
Well, mainly I had some good players. I mean, any coach that wins, if they tell you they don't have any players, is lying. Because we had some really good teams, and my coaching staff was the same from year after year, and that means a lot. And we added some a little bit as we went along, but the core of the coaching staff was there, my whole 20 years. And I remember in '92, this was my my 3rd or 4th year there. It's kind of when it got started. We beat Randolph County. They had beaten us in the regular season. We played them in the 2nd round, and we beat them by field goal and went to the 3rd round and won that. But we made it to the semifinals, and Hazelwood beat us, but they had 3 to sign with Alabama that year, so they had a really good team. But that year really is the one that kind of got us over the hump. We'd never been past the 2nd round before. And then the next year we played a lot of younger players, and then in '94 when we won 3 straight in a row, and we started a 55-game winning streak, which is still a state record. And but we won it in '94, '95, and '96, and we won it in 2000 and 2002 and 2005. But I think that from the very beginning, kids grew up in an environment where they was expected to win, and I think that had a lot, just the experience and that they've seen, and they didn't want to be that team that wasn't too good, and we didn't ever have a losing season there, and I think we made the championship game 8 times, and was in the semifinals 12 or 13 times. I don't remember. So basically, over half the time I was there, we was in the semifinals or more. So, but it all goes back to the players, believing in themselves and having good athletes and the work ethic.
I'm gonna go back to something you said, between '94 and '97, you won 55 consecutive games. Was there a point during that 55-game stretch where you was like, man, I can't believe this is happening?
Well, actually, believe it or not, and really, I didn't know nothing about a record or a streak. I knew we'd won some games. We lost the very first game in '94, and then we won 14 that year. And the next 2 years we won 15 and 15. And then the 4th year we were 11 and 0, and then we got beat in the 2nd round. But up until I think on that last year we broke the streak, maybe the 8th game of the year or something like that. And really, you didn't really think much about it until you got to about number 50, and then you had people calling and that type of thing, because I think the streak at that time was 51, and but really you didn't, as a coach, you really don't have time to think about it, because you really preparing for the next game, and I know that's coach talk, but that's really the honest truth. And but once it got to in the late 40s and like that, and you knew you was close to breaking the streak, then we was aware of it then.
All right, Coach, I'm gonna say 2 words and tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Clay Bowl.
Most exciting game you ever experienced.
What's your most memorable one, Coach?
Oh goodness, probably. And we actually played them in a championship game, and it's odd. We were in the South that year, and they were in the North, and and we played them in 90. The first year it was in Birmingham in 90. What was it? 95.
Yes, sir.
No, it was 96.
96.
Because
Birmingham.
We played 94 and 95 at our place, and then we played the first year it was in Birmingham, it was in 96, and we were in different regions, and we played them during the regular season and beat them 21-0, and then we played them in championship game and beat them 42-0. But they were really good, and they've had some really good teams, but probably that year, because it was, I guess you'd call that a clay bowl. I mean, it was. I mean, we faced them like 6 or 7 times in the playoffs after we'd played them during the regular season. But that was the great thing about that rivalry is I cannot remember any kind of personal foul that went on. It was just two very good teams playing hard-nosed football, and you had bragging rights from each town, and it was a very, very exciting game to be part of. As a coach, you're kind of glad when it's over with, to be honest about it, but the build-up and all that, it was really, really a game that everybody should have been able to see.
Now, Coach, so speaking about Lineville, when the news first came down and you heard that they were talking about the merger between Lineville and Clay County, what was your initial thoughts? Because let's be honest, that's like merging the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah. Well, I actually was not here. I was at Benjamin Russell. I left in. I get my years mixed. I left in 2009, and they was just talk then. There wasn't definite plans, and I was down there for 9 years, and actually this is my first year back. But at that time, there was just talk on it, and it's about, I think 2012 here was the first year, so I really, wasn't involved here at that time. But there was talk about it, and I always said from the get-go, if it would help the kids academically, and if it would help the system financially, I was all for it. Athletically, I think we stood on our own 2 feet, both schools, and that. So, I felt good about the athletic part on both schools. But if they felt like that it would help us financially and help, add more classes for education purpose, and then I was all for it. But it was just one of them when they combined. Everybody said, "Well, they're gonna win this and that," but it's it's a little bit more difficult than what people realize. Number one, they're moving up in class, and when you move up in class, you usually, play against a lot better players, and you play against a lot better coaching usually, or you got more coaches anyway. So, but we held our own here. We've been pretty good. This is our 7th year, and obviously, I mean, this year is the first year we'd won it, but we've been pretty good all the years.
All right, Coach, between 1995 and 96, your teams outscored your opponents 1,214 to 84. During that stretch in 1996 alone, you had 11 shutouts, which remains a state record till today. That's some of the most dominant football ever been played in the state of Alabama on any level. Tell us about the chemistry that was going on, especially between those 2 years.
Well, in 94 through 96, we had a group that was, actually we had 2 real good groups back to back, but the 96 team, most of them honestly had been playing since they were as sophomores, and actually had been playing since they was freshmen, and that group kind of gelled together, and it was a team that I mean, most of the teams that we played were actually beat before the game. I hate to say that, but honestly, that's how they looked at it. And the hardest part as a coach is to try to keep improving, and that's what this group really did. They were good as 9th and 10th graders, but when they became seniors, they were even better. And we had several that went off and played college ball from a 2A, and one went to Auburn, one went to Troy, one went to UAB. One went to Jacksonville the next year, so we really had some good teams. But they all got along together, and they worked, and that's something. I've had kids that were better in the 10th grade year than they were in the 12th grade year, and the reason is they get a little satisfied, and they don't want to work as hard as they used to. But this group, I tell you, they continue to work hard, and that group was really special.
All right, Coach, when you're in your car and you're headed home, whether it be albeit the game or practice, is there a point you can take the coach's hat off and just enjoy your family?
Well, I think as a coach you have to, and this is kind of during the off season. You got a lot more time to spend. Of course, my kids are grown now, but I can spend a little bit more time with my wife, and I've got my oldest boy. He actually is my offensive coordinator, so it's nice to be able to work with him. And he's got a little baby, and in fact yesterday we kept him after school. And so you got to be able to have a good mixture. You can't just let it eat you. During the season, I mean, we're gonna work 10-12 hours a day, but that's just how it is, during football season. But out of the season, you've got to get a little break, and you got to spend a little bit as much time with your family as you can. And I still kind of regret looking back that my wife, she's basically raised our kids, and she'd call me if they needed a whooping or something, and I'd have to. She'd bring them up there to me, the field house. But and luckily, I've got 3 kids. My daughter, she was a cheerleader, so she was kind of all around, and my other 2 boys was managers since they was like in the 3rd grade on up. So they were with me a lot of times during football. So that was good. So I got to see them a pretty good bit. And but now looking back, I wish I took a little bit more time with them. But she did a good job with them, because they all turned out to be pretty good adults.
On an off day, a free time, when you don't have anything docketed on the schedule, what's your hobby? What's your getaway?
Well, I play golf a little bit. I'm not any good, but I play. But honestly, I can't do nothing. I don't know anything about cars. I can't build nothing, and honestly, this is basically my habit. And I'm supposed to work. I'm on contract, and I'm supposed to work like half a day, but I'm up here all day, and just because I don't have nothing else to do, and I'll piddle around here, and I'll go home and piddle around there a little bit, and then it's time to go to bed. But really, this is my hobby, and my wife. I'm really scared to actually fully retire, because I don't know what I'd do, honestly, and it scares me. Honestly, it does. And as long as I'm enjoying it, and as long as I've got good health, I'm gonna keep coaching.
As long as your wife's on board with it.
Right.
All right,
well,
Coach.
she's a teacher too, and she still teaches, so it's a good situation.
Here's a big question I want to ask you. You enjoy the wins more, or do you hate the losses more?
Well, I think the fear of losing probably motivates me more than the winning. Honestly, it does. I love winning, but you're not going to win them all, and you're going to have to learn from your losses. And I think, for example, this year, we got beat at Mormon Jordan. We actually blocked a field goal. The last, you probably heard about it, because the next week every team in the state practiced it. But we blocked, there's 3 seconds left, and we blocked the game-winning field goal, and the ball rolls around on their sideline. And they had a guy come pick it up and run in for a touchdown when we were celebrating. But I think that loss, and that was our last loss, because we finished out winning 9 in a row. But I think that loss probably did more for us than if we'd won. And I don't think, we could have easily went undefeated this year. I mean, we got beat 5 points the first game, and we was ahead 17-0 in that game, and just kind of gave out as a game progressed. It's our very first game, against my old school, Benjamin Russell. Of course, they had a good team too. Then we played at Jasper and got beat 10-7. Then Mormon Jordan beat us on that last field goal. So, we had opportunities to win all 3 games, but I don't think this team was ready to be able to handle going undefeated. I really don't, because we had a lot of individualism to begin with, and I think as the season wore on, they realized that it's better to do it the way we want to do it than their way, and and I think those losses actually helped us this year to win it.
Coach, is there a loss throughout your career that sticks out more than the others?
Yeah, well, I was at my oldest son's senior year. We were playing the state championship. Cordova beat us 20-13, I think, and we was driving and we threw a pass and they knocked it on fourth down, knocked it away, and that's another chance at a championship, and especially his senior year. And I think when I was at Benjamin Russell, we made it to the semifinals, and we went down there and played Spanish Fort, which was always a good team, and we were up 27-10 at halftime, and in the second half we didn't play that well. We had a couple of turnovers and some missed opportunities, and they came back and beat us, and those two probably stand out more than any. They all hurt a little bit, to be honest about it, but if I had a couple that I could have a redo over,
that would be them.
Yeah, but we've also won some that we probably shouldn't have won too, so it kind of evens out over time.
Returning home back here to Clay, like you said, you came back home here. There's probably some doubters out there that didn't think you might could win in this brand of football with everybody combined here. But being that able to take this team in the first year in a different classification and go win the state, what does that mean to you, and does this team stick out a little bit different than some of those prior teams that you won the state with?
Well, this was really a special season. It really was. After spring training, I knew we had a chance on defense. Offense, I really didn't know. We were still a long way from there. But this group just I brought them some new challenges, and the summers was a little bit different, and the practices was a little bit different, and the weight room was a little bit different. Although they've been doing good, but I just put the things I like to do, kind of mix them in with it, and they stuck with it, and to come back here my first year and win one, it's really, really special. At one time we was at 3-3, and honestly didn't know whether we was even going to make the playoffs or not, and then we kind of got on a hot streak, and when we're a great example is when we started playing better at the right time, and we gained confidence, and when you got confidence when you go out there on the field, even when you get behind. We was behind every game in the playoffs except for the Etowah game, and was able to come back and win. So it's a big thrill to come back here and win, and hopefully this will kind of jumpstart us to where we can. We're not going to win it every year, may not ever win it again, but I think I'm hoping it would jumpstart us into where we'll be in the thick of things every year.
All right, when that final horn sounds and your coaching career comes to an end, what do you hope people says about Danny Horn?
Well, I hope they say that I was a hard worker, and I was a fair man to work for, and I know what they're going to remember. They're going to remember the wins, and they're going to remember the championship, which is good. But I want them to remember me as a man that worked hard, and a man that cared about them, that loved them, and I was telling my wife the other day, we was coming back from somewhere, I forgot where we was coming back from, but I said, I want them to remember the good times, the winning, but I also want them to remember what kind of person I was, and what I tried to instill in them, to be better people and better citizens, and they're the future of our country, and my motto is, you try to be the best you can in anything you do, and I've always tried to do that. I'm cutting grass or taking out the trash, making your bed up. Be the best you can be, and that's what I encourage these kids to do. Is don't be. The world is full of average people. You just got to do the little extra things it takes to get on that high level of success, and Of course, I've been blessed with some good teams and some good coaches, but you know, we're going to always work hard and we're going to always do the right things. And that's not to say we're perfect by no means, but you know, I just want them to remember maybe I was a positive influence on their life.
Thank you so much, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.